This video is for people who are suffering from sickness, diseases, or viruses, or any kind of illness, okay? There's some people that they see symptoms every single day and they're struggling and they're coughing and they're throwing up and it's awful. I want to try my best to recommend what I know will help. And I want to talk about the best solutions that I know that can help people in these situations that are struggling from sickness, diseases, and viruses that are experiencing symptoms every single day. And they want to know a solution. They want help. And I want to try my best to try to help them. And what I recommend, the first thing I recommend trying to be healed from all diseases and all viruses and all sickness is to pray to Jesus and ask Him to heal you, okay? From all sickness. Pray to Jesus and ask Him to heal you from all sickness, because He is the only God and He is the only person who can heal people. So if you're trying to be healed from any disease or any sickness or any viruses, I recommend praying to Jesus and asking Him to heal you, because He's the only person that can heal people. And I also want to recommend to try eating mushrooms, because they can also heal people. And different types of mushrooms can do different things, but you have lion's mane mushrooms, which helps with the brain development, and it's been proven that it helps prevent dementia, Alzheimer's, and it helps connect, I could be mispronouncing or mislabeling these words, but helps connect the neural pathways in the brain, and it helps your brain to be sharper and smarter. And you have turkey tail mushrooms, which helps with oxygen absorption in your blood and helps with blood flow and blood pressure and cholesterol, and helps build your immune system to be stronger. And there's other mushrooms too, like maitake, tiger's milk, cordyceps, and I'm pretty sure these are all mushrooms that have the chemical beta-glucan. But yeah, there are different types of mushrooms that can help with different things, okay? And I'm sure, I know that they all share a chemical called beta-glucan, which helps a lot with the body and the mind and all over. I recommend trying to eat more mushrooms, because I see them as an important food that we should be eating, especially if we're trying to be healthy and help fight off sicknesses and diseases and viruses. So I recommend doing more research, and like I said, they could do many things, and different mushrooms can do different things. But just from what I've said, lion's mane can help prevent dementia and Alzheimer's in the brain, and it helps with the brain development and connect neural pathways. And then turkey tail mushrooms helps with oxygen absorption in the blood, and helps with blood flow and blood pressure and cholesterol levels, and helps build a stronger immune system. So mushrooms can help all over, and they can help heal us, okay? So I recommend praying to Jesus and asking Him to heal you first, and then trying mushrooms. Because how I look at it, I see that there could be some strict Christian families who can have a sick child and they only want to be reliant on Jesus, and they don't want to rely on any pharmaceutical medicine or any vaccines. And I think of it like this: what if there was a certain mushroom that could help heal that child's sickness? Yes, relying on Jesus, but also accepting the help of mushrooms, because like I said, I do think they are an important food that we should be eating. And I think that they are, they're their own kingdom of life, the fungi kingdom of life. And I think they're just as important as the animal kingdom and as the plant kingdom. Because first of all, the mycelium fungi helps break down our dead bodies and gives the energy to plants. And the fungi genetics are closer to our genetics, the animal kingdom, than they are the plant kingdom. Even though that they come from the ground and you can find them in the produce aisle next to the vegetables. They are closer to us than they are to plants. I know they can heal people, and I know they are an important food, just as important as meat and vegetables. And I'm trying my best to eat them every day. I'm not perfect, sometimes I might just go a few days or maybe 2 days without eating them, but I am going to be trying to get myself to eat them every single day, because I think that they are food that I should eat every single day. Or if anybody wants to be healthy and they want to be healed from sickness and diseases and viruses, and they also want to help with their brain development and have a strong body, strong mind, and help all over, I recommend eating mushrooms every day. And so I also recommend, trying to be healed from all sickness and all diseases and all viruses, to be eating healthy as much as possible, and to be avoiding junk food, and to avoid, drinking any drugs that can be harmful to the body. And if you did want to partake in a substance, I recommend natural, safe substances like marijuana and magic mushrooms, because I know that they are creative tools that can help us see our problems with new lens and help us solve our problems. So instead of taking other drugs to help, instead of taking drugs to suppress your emotions, marijuana and magic mushrooms, with treated with respect, can help us not run away from our problems and run away from our emotions, but help us see our problems with new lens and help us solve our problems. And so I do think these substances can be abused just like any other substance, but I do think they have the most potential to help people out of all the other substances. And I do think they are the most natural and safe substances to take. So if you were to partake, that's what I would recommend. And so yeah, avoiding junk food and processed food and too much sugar and artificial sweeteners. Yeah, I recommend trying your best to avoid junk food and processed food, and trying to eat healthy. Like I said, mushrooms, but also I recommend eating, having a source of omega-3 fatty acids, which I used to do a lot of research back then on it, and I probably should do some more research now. And I will probably, but from what I remember, omega-3 fatty acids could help the heart. I'm sure omega-3 fatty acids help more, but from what I remember, it helps a lot with the heart. And so, having a source of omega-3 fatty acids like flaxseed or eggs or fish, I highly recommend. I also recommend trying to fast. If you feel like you should fast, I recommend trying to do a fast. And I get fasting can be hard, especially if we're used to eating and we love food. So I understand that it can be hard for people. So I recommend that if you feel like you should fast, or if you feel like you need to fast, I recommend praying to Jesus and asking Him for help to stay on a fast. And I do think fasting is great for our health too. And I recommend before starting a fast, I recommend eating a highly nutritious meal before starting the fast, so that way you're not malnourished and you don't have a vitamin deficiency. So I recommend eating a highly nutritious meal before the start of the fast. And then at the end of the fast, whether you do a 1-day fast or a 2-day fast or even a 3-day fast, I recommend at the end of a fast to eat something light so it's easier on your stomach. And I also recommend getting plenty of sunlight too, as much as possible. I like to go for walks and I walk to work, so I try to get sunlight every single day. Now I might have a day, like an off day, where I just don't go outside, which I don't like, because I do like going outside and getting sunlight, and I do think it's healthy for us. So I think drinking enough water and getting enough sunlight is important for staying healthy too. So yeah, just to wrap this video up, first thing I recommend is praying to Jesus and asking him to heal you. And then the second thing that I recommend is eating mushrooms because they can heal people too. And I recommend fasting and eating healthy and avoiding drinking. And if you were to partake in a substance, I recommend natural, safe substances like marijuana and magic mushrooms, because like I said, I see them as creative tools that can help us solve our problems and see our problems with new lens. So I recommend doing that. And for trying to stay healthy and be healed from all sickness and diseases, I recommend having a source of omega-3 fatty acids like eggs, fish, or flaxseed. And then, like I said, plenty of water, drinking enough water, and having enough sunlight. I also want to recommend vegetables like eating spinach, and I also want to recommend eating fruits like lemons, because lemons, you can get vitamin C from it, so avoiding a vitamin C deficiency, I recommend eating more lemons. But they can also help supplement our natural stomach acids and help our digestion in our stomach with the citrus of the lemon. And from the quick research that I did, it helps with avoiding bloating and supplement the stomach acids in our stomach. So I think the citrus and the vitamin C from a lemon is important for trying to be healthy. So I also recommend eating vegetables and fruits and more lemons too. So okay, I also want to recommend trying to be more healthy is cutting out pork, beef, dairy, and bread. Because me personally, I feel like these things make me feel unhealthy. And I try to do some scientific research on these 4 things and why they could be terrible for you. And there is science on why pork can be terrible for you and why bread can be terrible for you. And how it's like highly processed carbs, and it can raise your blood sugar levels. And there is research on why these things can be terrible for you. But I would just say, personally speaking, I have a gut feeling that these things are terrible for me, and I feel like I should stay away from them. And I could just think about it like pigs, they could be dirty animals and they could eat slop. And so in return, eating an animal that eats slop, I don't think it's the most healthy meat that you could eat. And me personally, and chicken and turkey has been proven to be, the most healthiest meats that we can eat, up there with fish. And when I eat beef, personally, I feel like it's greasy. Especially ground beef, I feel like it can be really greasy. And I feel like it can cause, if you can drain the grease out, maybe it can be, a decent source of protein and iron. But I would say it is just too greasy for me, and I feel like it upsets my stomach and I feel like it's terrible for my health, eating beef and pork. So I just try to completely cut that out from my diet, including bread and dairy, because I feel like those are terrible for my health too. So, but this is all a gut feeling that I have. And I talked about how mushrooms help us get back in touch with our gut feeling and intuition, and I still believe that, and I know that to be true. But I have a gut feeling that I should remove these things from my diet, and I feel healthier by staying away from them. And I'm not perfect. Sometimes I have like a pizza, or sometimes I'll have like a sandwich with bread. So I don't completely stay away from it, but I try my best to stay away from it, and I feel healthier from avoiding those things. And so that's what I would, another recommendation on trying to be healthy and be healed from sickness is cutting out beef, pork, bread, and dairy. Because that's what's helped me, and I feel healthier by removing those things from my diet. So yeah, that's what I recommend for people who want help to be healed from sickness.